Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back. We are here at the founder of Reams College Consulting from Vero Beach, Florida, but working around the country, maybe even the world. Gail Reams joining us again here to talk more about her college consulting and all that she does. And of course, we're excited to have you back. How are you?
Fine, Jill. Thank you. You're right. It is all over the world. I've worked with students in the UK and Australia. So primarily it's the United States, about 95%, but I'll take people wherever they are.
Oh, well, we're excited to have you back here today. And in your own words, tell us a little bit about the work that you do to start.
Well, yes, I've been doing this for 11 years, and I'm thrilled to be able to help students to be accepted at the college of their dreams.
hmm
And
And she's starting them off young because that's what you should be doing, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
that's right. A lot of people, Jill, wait until right before the senior year, that summer before the senior year to get started. I advise them to start the freshman year because there's so much that needs to be done, and I don't like my students to get overwhelmed.
Got it. Well, we are excited that you're back helping so many. What is the area of focus for today? Where did you want to start, Gail?
All right, one thing I thought people might be interested in because so many people are concerned about the cost of college now. And I just wanted to let people know that I help them get scholarships. And I thought it might be interesting to read to you a, uh, a submission from Randy, who was one of my students.
Okay.
He came from an impoverished background, did not have any money to be able to go to college, so we wanted to get him a scholarship, which we succeeded in doing a full ride of $16,000 per year to go to Oregon State University, where he majored in forestry.
Ooh.
And here's his essay. The greatest obstacle that I faced would definitely be the difficulty of dealing with the repercussions of having had an abusive father who was a deceptive, manipulative, long term abuser of drugs and alcohol and
Mm-hmm.
was in and out of my life for long periods of time. I have multiple memories of my father in his drunken stupors, lashing out at me and my family, and then his missing holidays and birthdays as he would disappear for months and sometimes
Ah,
years at a time. However, in my opinion, the worst thing my dad did was not teach me at an early age the skills and fundamentals of being a man. I did not have the kind of father I desperately needed. When I became an adolescent, I would lash out in fits of anger whenever I was frustrated, much like my father did, because that was the only kind of behavior I had learned. Fortunately, my brother Charles and his wife Candace visited me in my small town in Maryland. They knew my background, that my mother had delivered me while she was in prison and then had deserted me, and that my father was only in my life in between long stints of time in jail. I was lucky to have my grandparents to fall back on until Charles and Candace showed up and offered to have me live with them in Florida. So at age 14, I made the move to St. Petersburg that was to change my life. I was leaving my friends in a town I knew like the back of my hand. And even though my father was horrid, he was the only person I had ever known. Parent I had ever known, even though I was excited about the move, it was traumatic for me to be leaving all my familiar people and surroundings. When I arrived in Florida, I was nervous because I was not sure if I was going to fit in and be able to adjust to a new and unfamiliar environment because I knew that I was lacking in the ability to relate well to others. As I started my freshman year, I got a lot of advice from Charles and Candace, who exposed me to a new, real, constantly evolving world. One of the most beneficial things they did was send me to an adventure summer camp for teens in different states where we would hike and do outdoor activities. Now I consider myself an extrovert who relates well to others. Most kids learn their life lessons from good fathers. The lessons I learned from watching my father make poor decisions. Long ago, I told myself that I was not going to let my father's poor choices be a reflection of me, influence me, and have any more of an effect on my life than they already had. A lot of these lessons that I have learned came from witnessing my dad manipulate the people closest to him for his own benefit, stealing from his own family and then lying about it to their faces, causing a huge gap of distrust in my family that will most likely never be restored. Witnessing these things happen in my life so often as a child made me want to stop these acts of abuse constantly occurring to my loved ones. I came to realize this is not how you treat people you care about, and that nobody should be treated like that. I am not happy that this is how my father had to impact my life. However, if it were not for those negative experiences as a child and the struggle that I went through growing up, I might never have learned these lessons and aspired to become a better man than my father. Since moving to Florida, I have grown to be much more controlled, respectable person, one who has good morals and a sense of motivation that comes from wanting to improve myself. Since I have lived in Florida, I have worked hard to improve. I came to Florida with a 2.5 GPA and have kept my GPA at or above its current 3.76 since my first semester here. I have over 100 hours of community service helping
Wow.
others in Habitat, Northside Emergency Room. This past summer, I studied 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, prepping for the August SAT, and brought my scores up from 975 to 1220.
Oh my goodness,
I
impressive.
know. The work was demanding in all of these endeavors, but I learned the power of commitment and the satisfaction of success. Not until recently did I realize that all of this work is not just for myself, but for Charles and Candace and all the people who have helped me along the way, as well as for those people who I may influence and help in the future. I realize what I have achieved in the last few years will contribute to my ability to succeed in college and to grow to be the man that the Lambert family name deserves. As I continue my adventure of growing up, I have come to realize that I still have many lessons to learn and that the obstacles will not stop coming. No matter how old I am, what I have planned, or what anyone else might say, the obstacles will always be there, and
Hmm.
it will be up to me to define myself. I have come to realize that I do have control over my life, and so I have learned to stop worrying about minor setbacks, to put all my efforts into being positive, and to aspire to be accepted at my dream school. I know that nothing will divert me from this path because I am willing to persevere.
Wow.
So,
Amazing to hear these types of client
yes.
testimonials. Absolutely. This is what it's all about.
This essay is dynamite. And of course, students send me the rough draft, and it's up to me to work with them, make the story coherent, starting from the beginning to the end. I help them a lot with wording and verbiage and that type of thing, but it comes from their heart and their life experience. And
Wow.
so I'm excited to be able to help young
Yeah.
people to change their lives.
Well, excited you're here to guide us along the process. And we want to point out, of course, how we can reach out to you. reamscollegeconsulting.com. You're based out of Vero Beach, Florida, but you're working with people all over the world. Excited to have you here talking about all the work you do. Again, we talked last time about you and your friend, Pam Proctor, right, who wrote The College Hook. She's the one who kind of inspired you to start the company, right?
Absolutely, she did indeed. And
Great. Well, I
so,
do have your notes here. I just want to let you know they are here now, but I know we discussed a lot of this last time. So where are we picking up from today?
Well, I want to be sure before we end the program to get the offer in. So why don't I go ahead and mention
Sure.
that now? I've made a series of 5 hours of training videos covering all the aspects of the college admissions process. So these are videos. If you just want to listen to the audio, that's fine too. I also have PDF files corresponding to all the videos that I've made. So if you request those, I can certainly send them to them. The cost of the 5 hour mini course is $500. But today, if you go to my website,
Mm-hmm.
which Jill mentioned, www.reams, R-E-A-M-S, collegeconsulting.com, fill out the form there with your name, email, phone number. Then you're going to get the game plan, which is absolutely essential that you have. Anytime you're embarking on anything, you want to have a plan. And
Yeah.
this game plan will be extremely helpful for you. This is the first of the videos of the 5 hour mini course that I've set up. So you'll learn the most important factors that the college admissions officers look at when selecting students and how to set up your game plan. That's
Mm.
bonus number one. Then
All
bonus
right.
number two is a document on how to get a scholarship for your child. We just talked about
Ah.
Randy and the scholarship that he earned. I'd love to be able to help you get a scholarship for your child. So the money that you pay to have a counselor help you is going to be offset by the scholarship that your child will receive. Bonus number three, you will
Ooh.
get for free 1 hour of my time valued at $100. I've never done this before, Jill, but I'm really interested in helping you and appreciate your having me on this podcast to be
Yay.
able to, to help these kids. So we're going to talk about your child. What are your child's interests? What is your child thinking about majoring in? What colleges is he or she considering?
Mm-hmm.
And what can I do that will help him or her with value advice on how to get started? So this is a no-brainer. Just because you listen
Mm-hmm.
to the podcast today, you will get the first two bonuses worth about $10. The third bonus is another $100. That's a total of
Wow.
$110. So, parent, if you're wanting to get extra expert advice from a college admissions counselor for your child, would you be willing to take 5 minutes to fill out a form on my website,
Mm-hmm.
reamscollegeconsulting.com, in order to get over an hour's worth of valuable help for your child? So you've got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Just go to reamscollegeconsulting.com. Again, that's REAMS, collegeconsulting.com. Fill out the information form before midnight tonight, Eastern Time. I'll be in touch with you and you will receive your 3 free bonuses and will get help for your child.
Exciting. Thank you so much. Wow. All right. We are on a roll. I know we talked a lot last week about all the services you offer. We got to talking about the essay process, and you're giving us some testimonials today. What else did you want to talk about for today?
Well, it might be interesting to go through some of the frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
So, what I'm often asked, the role of an independent admissions counselor, that's to be able to help the students get into
Mm-hmm.
not only one, but a number of colleges. And sometimes they change their mind. They think they want to go to one college, but after they visit or do virtual visits. So it's good to have a number of colleges that they get accepted in. And then I'm often asked, well, my student is busy during the day. Do you work with students on weekends and at night? Absolutely. My
Mm-hmm.
schedule revolves around your schedule, when it would be best for your um, schedule for me to work with your student. And then often parents say, well, I want to be involved too. Is that all
Yeah.
right? And I say, absolutely. Some parents are great at researching. I have an Excel file that I have created with all the different
Wow.
areas of research that are essential that a student have in order to get the information that they need. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all this information, but when you have it in an Excel file with everything right there,
Yeah.
where the college is located, what the website is, what the tuition is, what we mean by 25% to 75% for the SAT. Do you know what that means, Jill?
No, I don't.
Okay, so
I
your
don't
chances
remember
of
all
getting
this.
in a college are greater if you can be where the majority of students are.
Okay.
So, colleges that are elite colleges, like my alma mater, Duke University, only accepts 8% of the students. So the 25% to 75% are going to be close to the 1,500 to 1,600 point range for the SAT. So if you can get that information for each college, you know what that helps you do, Jill?
Yeah.
Figure out whether this is really a possibility for your child or not. So
Yeah.
what do we do with these colleges? How do we categorize them? Well, we have three categories. We have match is the colleges that these SAT scores are similar to your child, or the GPA average is. So your child has a pretty good chance, at least an average chance of being accepted. Now, the child might want to put some reach colleges on the list. Those are ones that they might only have a 25% chance of getting accepted. But, they might get accepted. Maybe they're looking for your son because he's a tuba player. You just never know what colleges are looking for. So go ahead and put some reach colleges on your list. But you know what else is absolutely essential, Jill?
What?
Safety colleges. You want to have at
Ooh.
least two safety colleges on your list
Mm.
that you know your child will be accepted. How do you determine a safety college? Well, one where your scores are better than the average student. What's the other variable you take into consideration? What's the acceptance rate of the
Yeah.
school? Now, I
True.
mentioned Duke University, 8%. Well, there are other colleges that are excellent, like the University of Kentucky. You know what the acceptance rate is at University of Kentucky?
No.
96%. This is
Wow.
a fabulous state university. So, if you're worried about being accepted anywhere, look at those colleges that are excellent schools but have a high acceptance rate and put them on the list for your students. So, what are some other questions that students ask? Um, Students say, well, I've got a counselor at my school and I meet with her.
And you're like, that's great, but
And you know what the but is, Jill? Oh
hmm
my gosh. You know what the ratio is between the school counselor and the students?
how many people?
420 students to one counselor. How many minutes during the school year does that average out? Between 8 and 15 minutes that a student has for the whole year. Now,
Wow.
we've talked about all the
Yep.
things that a student has to consider in
hmm
being accepted at a college, and there's no way that a student can be able to answer all those questions without getting expert advice, and that's where I come in.
Oh my goodness. And you're so thorough with this, clearly with all your knowledge, which we've talked about, in depth the last time. Let me ask, the parent's role in this process, right? What should the parent be doing, between the student and the counselor? And, because that's also another, you need some type of guidance. Not every child has someone, and it's good when the parents bring you in to start helping out.
Well, exactly. The main thing that the school counselor can do is follow my guidance as far
Okay.
as choosing the classes that would be best. If the
Okay.
child is trying for elite colleges, we want to be sure that he gets AP classes, advanced placement classes, that he takes that test in May and does well on that. We want to
Mm-hmm.
see him get a 4 or 5, get the prep that he needs for that. are the international baccalaureate classes, are the dual enrollment classes that so many students are taking. But other than that, probably your counselor, other than writing a recommendation, you want to have an independent counselor to help with this process.
Got it. And let's remind everyone at Reams College Consulting that you need to reach out and reach out early. And by the way, just a little of your background that new time listeners may not know. You've been doing this for how long now? 11
years now.
years? Perfect. And you said that 95% of your students are applying to universities in the United States. Of course, this includes international students who are applying to U.S. schools. Occasionally, you say you have a student who wishes to take a gap year abroad. You can help with that as well. And now, the number of hours that your student will need, I guess it depends on the colleges, right? Is there like I'm reading about 10 school, at least 25 hours of help. How many hours of work does someone actually work with you for?
It's interesting you mentioned 25 hours
Oh,
because that's the golden number, Jill.
okay.
Yeah, for those that are not just going to apply to one or two schools, they're interested in about 10 colleges, which is the average. Then, yeah, 25 hours is usually what is needed in order to help a student. I meet with this student once a week, starting before the senior year. Before that, it's once a month. So there's a lot of personal time involved in doing everything that needs to be done. I mentioned to you last time, I've never had a student that didn't meet every single deadline for every single school to which he applied.
And clearly statistics show the people you've worked with have succeeded. And you gotta have check out the website because you can also read some of these testimonial stories. I love hearing from parents, families, the videos as well of them, what they say, and they credit so much to you. And it's true. You need some help. And what would you say out there, where it's time to kind of wrap up the show, to someone who may be thinking about college, not really? Tell them they need to get started and tell us when.
Right now, get
hmm
started. Yeah, I even worked with some eighth graders on some prep with them. The PSAT is given for a practice round sophomore year. And then if you want a national merit scholarship, then they're going to take your score from the junior year. So you need to get started
Wow.
studying for this your freshman and sophomore years in order to be able to do well. And if you do well on the National Merit Scholarship, a lot of times you can get full scholarships for your scholarship
This is
tuition
amazing. And this is what
college.
we want.
Yes, we do indeed.
Gail Reams, thank you for being here, for joining us, and always a pleasure to talk to you. And let's remind them of your phone number one more time.
Okay, phone number 772-538-6137. 772-538-6137. That's Vero Beach, Florida, Eastern.
Beautiful. And don't forget, go to the website. There's so much information there. Reams, that's spelled Reams, collegeconsulting.com. And we're excited to work with you. And don't forget the offers. One more time, tell us again if they do reach out today.
If they reach out today, the main one is they are going to get 1 hour of my valuable time for a consultation. So be sure and contact me, and I will look forward to working with your child.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you back and looking forward to next time. All right, have a great day. To all of our listeners, stay tuned. More of the shows coming up after the break, and enjoy your weekend. Thank you, Gail.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.